Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about some new polls that have come out of the state of Texas that are pretty surprising. Currently, 538 shows Biden in the lead in the state of Texas. He leads over Donald Trump by 0.1% according to the polling averages. This is because Biden is up by 5 points in two new polls that have been released today. Trump still does lead by 1 point in a YouGov poll. However, these two 5 point leads does put Joe Biden over the top. He's now 0.1% ahead of Donald Trump in the state of Texas. And I think this is, if Biden were to win the state of Texas, it would just be a fatal blow for the Trump campaign. Texas, traditionally a Republican state, it's gone to a Republican in every single election since 1980. The last Democrat to win this state was Jimmy Carter in 1976. So, Biden now takes the lead in the state of Texas. And, for a Democratic candidate, this has basically never happened before. If we take a look back at 2016, Trump was leading by almost 12 points. He won the state by 9 points. So a likely margin for Trump. And if you look down here, Trump leads in every single poll that was conducted in the state of Texas for the 2016 election. So Texas, it is a pretty red state. However, if you look at 2020, Biden leads in many polls, and there are even some polls where they're tied. In April, Biden leads, and then they're even. Biden leads, and now Biden leads by 5 points. And if you look at this, the last poll that Trump led by 5 points in was on April 25th. Over a month ago. So Biden has the biggest lead in any poll in the last 2 months in the state of Texas. And then I think what else is good for the Biden campaign, sorry about that, is that the Republicans typically underperform their polling averages. As you can see, Trump led by 11.7 points. He won the state by 9 points. So it's a 2.7% underperformance for Trump in 2016, even though he still did win the race. In 2016, if you look back at 2012, Romney versus Obama, as you can see, Mitt Romney led by almost 17 points. He won the state by almost 16 points. And if you look back at 2008, McCain led by 13 points. He won the state by almost 12 points. So, this is good for the Democrats, as the Republicans typically do tend to underperform their polling averages in the state of Texas. However, this hasn't been a big deal before because the Republicans have always been able to win with a solid margin. So, this hasn't been a problem before, but now it really is, considering that Biden is in the lead. So if, the Republicans underperform by 1 to 2%, as they typically do, Joe Biden would win the state of Texas in 2020. And if you look at the map here, this is the 2016 map. If Joe Biden was to win the state of Texas, he would win 270 electoral votes. So, for Trump, this is just a nightmare situation for him to be in if Joe Biden were to win the state of Texas. Because basically, if the state of Texas is called on election night, I can see Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, basically every single swing state going to Joe Biden. If Texas was to win, I think Joe Biden really would win 411 electoral votes, in the 2020 election. So, yeah, this is just not good for the Trump campaign. I think that Donald Trump really does need to do something. He's being very divisive at the moment. He's not uniting the country. And I think that this is really just, really bad news for the Trump campaign, because currently Joe Biden leads in every single swing state, in the state of Florida, North Carolina, even Iowa and Ohio. Joe Biden leads in states that Trump won by over 9% in 2016. So, Joe Biden is expected to win all of these states. He would rebuild the blue wall in the Midwest. And then, he would take the state of Florida and Georgia, two big prizes, as well as Texas and Arizona. If the election were to go as polling suggests at the moment. And then just to look at the betting odds here, the betting odds, they haven't really increased much for Joe Biden. Donald Trump is still expected to win the state of Texas, around a 68 to 33% margin for Trump and Biden respectively. And, I agree with this. I do think that Trump still has a higher chance of winning the state of Texas. I do not think that, Texas will really go to Biden. I think that, Biden will have a strong performance in the state of Texas. I think he will do better than any Democrat has done in, decades. However, I don't think that, he really, I don't think he'll win the state of Texas. I think that a tilt margin is very likely for Donald Trump. Just because of how red the state of Texas is, it has gone to a Republican for the last 40 years. And I do expect Texas to flip within this decade. Texas is expected to gain 3 electoral votes after the 2020 census. And, this is good for Democrats because, people who are moving into Texas, they aren't white voters. They are, Latino voters. And, that typically, directly correlates to more Democratic voters in the state of Texas. So, yeah, I think that Texas is looking very good for the Biden campaign at the moment. I think that, his 0.1 lead is not, I don't think it will stay that way for very long. However, I do think that the state of Texas will be closer than it has ever been, as, no Democratic candidate has ever led in the state of Texas in, decades. So, yeah, I would like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like as well as subscribing to my channel. That would be much appreciated. And I will see you in the next video.